So autonomic flexibility means that our nervous system can dial up, handle a stressful event, and then recover. It's that then recover piece that people living with trauma struggle with. People living with extended periods of elevated stress struggle with, right? So our body can't be in growth and protection at the same time, meaning we can't be in a stress response and your recovery response at the same time, okay? It's a threshold. Sympathetic stimuli has to come down to a certain threshold before the parasympathetic system starts. All right? So, we go back to the great pause, right, of 2020, and the suggestion from a friend of mine that it's time to make the poster, okay? The poster behind me on the wall, the one in your book, these over here. This is the way that I help patients identify what's going on with them without putting a spotlight on them, okay? It becomes about discovery for them, all right? So we have a stress response right on this side. So when we talk about a stress response, this is a text message, this is a strong smell, this is something that doesn't necessarily kick you into full-blown trigger, but brings your awareness up, okay? It's, you go and meet a new client, right? Walk out into the waiting room, go to shake their hand, and the handshake is weird, right? Or they give you the dead fish, right? Or one time I go downstairs to pick up my guest, and she comes up and she gives me one of these, right? So I fist bumped her. I got a note slid underneath my door a couple hours later that I needed to go and see my spa director before I left for the day. And she's like, "Love, you can't do that." I was like, "Who should it is? The Queen of England? You're English, you understand?" She's like, "Yes, I do." But I was like, "Okay, so am I supposed to curtsy? What do I do when they do this? Am I supposed to do one of those?" That's what's going through my mind, which would have been way, way worse than a fist bump. She's like, "Just do a little half bow and a head nod and get it moving." Okay. So not as much fun, but fine. So that stress response, right? So on that first level of stress response, your pupils are going to dilate so that we can receive more information, right? So think about in a stressful time, like you're sitting at a traffic light and all of a sudden you hear tires screeching behind you, right? And you look up in the rearview mirror. Think about the detail in which you see, okay? Sometimes you're going to be able to see what's right in front of you with supreme detail. Sometimes you can't see anything in front of you, but you can see the periphery, okay? Those are two different types of stress response. What I'm going to ask you to do is pay attention to which one shows up for you, okay? So the pupils dilate, the inhibition of saliva, right? Because if we're in a stress response, digestion no longer matters, right? We go back to that either in growth or protection. The single-celled organism is not going to seek food if a stressor pathogen is present, okay? So now you start thinking about how many people that are stressed out have halitosis, the people that constantly chew gum, constantly using mints, dippers, smokers, right? That oral fixation piece, stress response. Increased heartbeat, we talked about that nerve before lunch, right? Stress response, heart rate comes up. In response to that heart rate going up, the lungs expand so that we can get more oxygen in, so it can get converted to ATP and burnable fuel. So now we start looking at, okay, so it stands to reason that people that are dealing and living in survivor mode have high blood pressure, right? These are systemic biological responses. Good. Inhibition of stomach activity. When someone gets stressed out, when your heart gets broken, how awesome is your digestion? Are you going for the good food, or are you going for the mouth pleasure? Or you don't eat at all. Right? So these are just the common stress responses. So after that, we get stimulation and releasing of glucose, inhibition in the gallbladder. Right? So the liver kicks it off, the adrenal gland flood the body. But what happens when that's long-lasting, never get a chance to recover? Sugar. Sugar for the glucose. Sugar for the glucose. Sugar for the glucose. Okay? There's something incredibly amiss in the fact that we have kids in 1st and 2nd grade going on Ozempic. That's problematic. That is a much bigger problem, not for this classroom. But think about what happens when we have to maintain this elevated glucose level. It means when we begin to downregulate, the body's not going to be able to figure out what's what. Okay? Come down, inhibition of the intestines. Right? So when you're doing massage and you hear the stomach noise, that means you've helped them come out of a sympathetic response and they're moving into this parasympathetic recovery mode. So when somebody is stressed out, a trauma survivor, what's the quality of their elimination? Shitty. Or not. Right? Then if that trauma is also supplemented with pain medication, right? Now you're dealing with opiate-based constipation. Okay? So learn how to talk shit to people. Like, how often do you go? Right? I had one patient, once or twice a week. A week? Like, we're not talking about like trips to the bank or the grocery store. Like, how many times are you going into the bathroom and doing a number 2? Yeah, like averagely once a week. Okay. And how's your back doing? Well, I've got a ton of back pain. I wonder why. It's pretty full of shit. Okay? Use a little bit of sarcastic, witty banter, right? But you also make a point. Okay? So then we move on down, secretion of epinephrine and norepinephrine, right? So your adrenal glands sit on top of your kidneys like little troll pads. And when they activate, right, they're dumping adrenaline into the body. Well, there is a limit to the amount of adrenaline that can be produced in the adrenal glands at any given time. So there's this new pathology floating around called hypothalamic pituitary adrenal fatigue. Basically what that means is we're wearing ourselves out. But the human body is so brilliantly designed, life must carry on. We must continue to have adrenaline available to us so that we can respond to that text message that we're dreading that we don't even really need to give credence to. So what happens? The body's like, well, we got to make adrenaline. We need the chemicals responsible for making adrenaline. So the body starts pulling calcium. Guess where the calcium comes from? Bones. Guess what else is made of bones? The choppers. Okay? So if you look at the rates of osteoporosis between women who have had kids and haven't had kids, it's like this. Right? If a woman has delivered a child, she is 90% more likely to develop osteoporosis than one who hasn't. Which basically means kids are viruses.
They're perfect.
They're just going to live off of you as long as you get to be the host and drain you of everything you need. So congratulations, good job, ladies, and bagels. Relaxation of the bladder, and then this one down here at the bottom, promotion of ejaculation and vaginal contraction. 2 critical pieces in conception. We kind of touched on it a little bit yesterday as far as the stress going in and around women conceiving to start a family. And if there is, are we doing artificial insemination? Are we fertilization? fertilizing the eggs and then planting them? Are we doing, we're going to try and do this on a natural timeline, and there's an app where the app says, okay, cool, you've got 35 minutes for conception, or mark it, set, go, no pressure, no stress. Yeah, make sure you both get to the top of the mountain right around the same time, because that happens a lot, right? So you begin seeing like the corrosional and erosional impact of long-lasting survivorship from PTSD, that unresolved stuff, right? So that's what happens to a body in a stress response. Here's the question. What in that list jumps off the page for you? Highlight your top 3. And then you can take that, whichever one it is, and just follow that back to your spinal dermatome. And chances are good that when we rock you, you don't move there. Peculiar. This is just to reinforce the power of that rhythmic release that we did yesterday. We don't need the story to identify what's not moving. How many of you rocked somebody yesterday and their diaphragm just was not moving? Well, let's see. Where's the diaphragm at in this picture? I wonder if there's any correlation. It's almost like, here's the playbook. Okay? So then we come down here, because as I go through this with my patients and my clients in a treatment room, as I'm talking, I can look at some of them and I can see in their eyes that we have overwhelmed their information processing system. So we come down here. Most people know fight or flight, right? Stressful situation, it's time to throw hands or haul ass, which is great, right? Those are mobilization responses. Those are reptilian responses, which means they're old, right? These are mammalian responses, and this completes the picture, right? So for a lot of people, they stick in this fight or flight window, which is fine, but that's black and white TV, right? Let's go full 4K color here, right? So the freeze response, the deer in headlights. How many times have you found yourself in a stressful situation where you just froze? Okay? How many times have we heard over the last few years of a school shooting where the officers froze? They're trained to act. They drill to respond. What kind of response do you think you're going to get from people who haven't been trained to do that? Okay? So as we're going out into the world and we're taking this work out into the world, we want to be able to give ourselves some grace because we're going to process this for ourselves, right? What do these look like for us? Okay? The full response. So if you get out and you start scratching through the psychological world, some people use the term fawn, right? The fawn response is you basically just kind of put on whatever image you need to do so that you mirror the response that you're hoping you get, right? Well, to me, that sounds a lot like fool. You're fooling yourself, and you're hoping to fool the people that you're around, like the possum playing dead. It's a survival mechanism. Any comedian worth their salt is damage to their soul. Their response to create comedy is the full response. Okay? This can also be the wallflower. Nobody sees me, I'm fine, everything's fine. You're fine, I'm fine, everything's fine. It's cool, it's fine, it's fine. I'm gonna go home now, okay, bye. Right? So when somebody says, I feel fine, that means fundamentally incapable of normal expression. That one too. Okay? And then the faint response, this is disassociation.
Can you say that again?
Fundamentally incapable of normal expression. And when I hear that, you know what I recommend for them? Let's take a wild guess. What do I recommend that they do if they give me I feel fine? Where am I going to send them? I'm going to send them to thesaurus.com. I need you to go find other words. I need you to find words that resonate with how you want to feel. Okay? Because I feel fine tells me nothing. Right? That's like saying I like tacos. Well, man, there's so many questions around tacos.
Kind of like I feel better.
Soft taco, hard taco, corn, tortilla, chicken, fish, shrimp, chorizo, like a lot of tacos out there. Okay? But what sucks but is also awesome is those aren't mutually exclusive. You can have them all at once. You can have them in quick succession. So the question I ask you and the question I ask you to begin dealing with and then begin asking your clients is, what does this look like for you? Okay? In a treatment room, this is guarding. Right? That person you're trying to do some nice, smooth, awesome, amazing, gentle, passive range of motion with, that is conducting themselves like a piece of frozen chicken. Like, oh, that hurts too much. Like, I haven't even moved you. Thanks for playing. Okay? And then the fight response, right? This is the right? Or you're asking them a question and they're not giving you any answer. Okay? The freeze response, we've all seen that. Right? Kind of feels like the fight response, but it's regional. The full response, this is the fun one. Who was it? Was it you yesterday that you were working on one shoulder and then shifted over to the other, right? So when we talked about chase, follow but don't chase, sometimes we're going to be working with our clients and we're going to be getting really close to the source and they're going to try and redirect you to some other part of their body. Okay? Stay where you are at and try and bring that part of the body to your hands. Go global with your tractor beam. Okay? Because you going here after you've been here is letting them escape. Stay here. Okay? Hold your boundaries. And then the faint disassociation, what that looks like in a treatment room, is somebody who just decides to go to sleep all the time. They lay down and they just forget it. Like, I'm done. Right? Rub on me, make me feel great, and let me go home. Not, let me be purposeful and conscious in my body while I'm experiencing massage so that I can feel the change in real time. Right? So when I go and get massage, I tell the therapist, if I'm going to let them know I'm a massage therapist, I just want to follow your hands around my body to help facilitate relief. That's what I want to do. I want to feel your touch as you massage me, and I just want to be present inside your hands and whatever's going on, so that whatever is tight or feels restricted, I can do the work on the inside while you're doing the work on the outside. So when I get done, I'm good. That's the hope, right? And as long as it's not a couple's massage with my wife, it usually turns out pretty decent, right? Otherwise, I get the guy who's like, one guy uses like an entire bottle of oil for one massage. I felt like a slimy, greasy French fry, right? And then the other person who didn't use anything and just did frictional mat work. So when I got done with my massage, there was a hair outline on the table, and I'm like, oh my God. This is why we say no to couples massage. Okay? So this is the stress response. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to begin to identify the patterns that you have in this criteria. Because once you recognize your patterns, then you can start doing something about it, right? What was that term I used at the beginning of yesterday? Actionable insight. You recognize your triggers, you recognize your patterns, then you can start doing things about it so you can break the pattern. Right? You can go get that one massage from that one person that's really good at that one thing, and then you can go to the other massage therapist that does the other thing that they're really good at. Because not all massage therapists are good at everything. Right? Like, I will massage feet, but I'm not going to say that I do reflexology. Because that would be a lie. Right? If I said I did reflexology, I'd also say, you know, I'm the starting center for the Orlando Magic. Sports ball. Okay? All right. So then we come over here to the other side, the recovery response. So, constriction of the pupils. When you do really good work, pay attention to how your patient's faces change. Their eyes are going to get softer. Resting bitch face gets a little less bitchy. The shape of their face will change. A lot of times, so will their vision. So in your treatment room, I suggest having things that are pretty, things that are three-dimensional, right? Multicolors. So when somebody comes off your treatment table, the rods and cones in their eyes get the value of actual saturation, right? Stimulation of saliva. This is why I had you sit and look at your food before you ate it. So saliva can start coating the pathway. And fire up the gastric juices to aid digestion. Because, skip the heart, come down, stimulates activity of the stomach. Sit down a couple more. Stimulates activity in the intestines, right? So when you're doing your body work and you hear brrr, the body's going, right? So if your client's like, oh, I just ate lunch, or I haven't eaten lunch yet, like, that's cool. I'm letting you know what physiologically this means. This means your body has reached a level of relaxation that it feels safe. Remember, because we're talking about the 8s, 9s, and 10s. Okay? So then when we go back up, it slows the heartbeat down. When we're in parasympathetic mode, our heart rate goes down. Right? One of the key metrics we want to look at with patients is heart rate variability. So if you have an 8, 9, or a 10 who's like, look, I'm done living how I've lived, I'm ready to take steps forward. Cool. How about you pick up some biotech, right? Loom, Ring, Apple Watch, whatever. Track your heart rate while you're sleeping, while you're going out throughout the day. Do some hard things and see how quickly your heart rate recovers. Right? Can you walk as fast as you can for 100 yards, get your heart rate up to about 110, 120, and then within 15, 20 minutes get you back down to your normal range? That means you can dial up and come back. That's autonomic flexibility. Okay? So then the lung airways constrict. So when we talked about the release yesterday and somebody sighs, that's the lungs inflating and then deflating, right? If we take our lungs and roll them out, all the bronchioles and alveoli, right? It's over one tennis court in size. That's how much surface area we've got. So when we're stressed out and our heart is pumping, and our lungs are in here, right? They're expanded trying to get oxygen. You have mechanical pressure from the lungs pushing on the heart. So if you can dial down, it takes the pressure off of both. Okay? So now that the heart rate's come down, the breathing has changed, the blood volume, because when we get activated, when we get stressed out, we get triggered, the blood that was in our GI tract gets fed to our muscles. So when we're doing massage and all of a sudden our clients get cool, it's because the blood that's been in the surface of their skin and muscles has been rerouted back to their GI tract, and that's going to cool them down. Okay? stimulation of the intestines, contraction of the bladder, promotes erection of the genitals. Okay? On board to get to the other side. Spend time here. Enjoy the process. Right? I don't know what it's like once we cross the Rainbow Bridge, so you might as well enjoy it while it's here. Okay? This is that frustration part in a lot of couples that nobody talks about. This is an opportunity for you to sit in front of a young couple and go, look, this is the physiology of the situation. I can explain the physiology to you. I'm not going to explain the mechanics, the birds and the bees, that's you guys, right? But understand the mechanics of the situation so that you can cultivate the humanity again between the two of you. And go have a good time. Okay? So then, that's the physiology side. So then I present the same question to you. Which of these makes the most sense for you? Or which of these feels like it's the most lacking? And then pick your top 3. When we look at stress response and recovery responses, and we try and identify our top 3, or lack thereof. What that is actionable insight for the steps that you can take to begin making the change that you want. Right? This isn't go home and start a journal and write about the things that you were feeling. This is go home and start a journal about the way that you're feeling and what you're noticing when you feel it, so that you can start taking steps about the way that your physiology and biology responds to stress, so that you can find your path to recovery. Okay? So the non-physiology side, rest, digest, repair, rebuild. Okay? That doesn't say sleep. It says rest. Rest and sleep are not the same thing. You can sleep all night and wake up not feeling rested. You can lay down for a 10-minute power nap and be ready to run a marathon. Okay? So in your world, in your body, it's imperative that you begin teasing out the difference between sleep and rest. Right? I battle with insomnia. My brain works up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. It's like, guess what? We're awake now. Here are all the things we need to do today. Go ahead and start doing them. And then I will schedule strategic naps throughout my day. Because if I have to go the whole day, by the time I get to the end of the day, it's bad news. Right? I feel like crap, not happy, or bad. I don't enjoy that. Okay? So understanding the value of rest. Sometimes rest is just taking a 5-minute break and pushing yourself back from your desk and taking it easy. Okay? I want you to find out what is restful for you. Use the ideas from Create the Environment to help supplement your ability to rest. Is there music that helps you rest? Are there smells that help you rest? Is your favorite movie going to help you rest? Right? The glorious piece of what we do is there's a place to take a nap in our office. And we've got all of the tools to help supplement that, right? We've got a heated neck roll. I've got a heating pad on the massage table. We've got an herbal hot pack. I have blankets. I got a chi machine in the sacred wedge and a neck roll. Man, let's go. Right? That's the self-care reset. So when clients come in, sometimes I'll leave my rig set up. Like, oh, did you not clean up after your last patient? No, I was just leaving that there so that you can see what I do because I'm taking care of myself. Because I can't ask you to do self-care that I'm not willing to do for myself. So I'm helping them see the integrity of which our office operates. Let them behind the curtain every once in a while. Like, hey, look, yeah, I'm an amazing, superpower human massage therapist, but I'm also still just a human being who needs hugs and food Okay? So that brings us to food. Digestion. So the guy who's pooping once a week, let's see what we can do to adjust that. Right? Put a hot pack on your stomach while I'm giving you a massage, while we're treating you, right? So I'm here, person's laying down, I rock, 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 hips don't move, abdominal doesn't move, just one giant ball, okay? I go to my hot caddy, get out my little hot pack, lay it on their stomach, put the hot pack behind their neck, put them on the swing machine, and just evaluate.
Just stand there and watch.
Sometimes I'll do paperwork, just kind of give them, it's like, this is part of the treatment. We're teaching you nervous system downregulation. Right? We talked about it earlier today, the difference between resistance and restriction. I need them to be active. I need to empower them to know you are an active participant in this process. I can't do it for you. Right? This isn't DIY. Okay? It's done with you. All right? So digestion, talk about digestion, right? And then we get over here, down here, repair and rebuild. This is our wheelhouse. This is what we do. Right? We can't rebuild muscles in a frame that isn't stable. So before we go into build, we have to repair. And this is where massage therapy is such a huge, huge role. Because what was tight is now loose. Let's reinforce that. Let's make that the new normal. Then let's get you connected with a personal trainer, right? Or then let's get you connected with a yoga instructor or a Pilates teacher, right? Somebody who you can validate and verify that you guys have similar ethos in what the recovery process looks like, so that you're not working against each other, right? Nicole does something that's called accessible yoga. This is for yoga for people who can't get on the floor, people who might be wheelchair bound or stuck in a bed. You can still move and appreciate the value of yoga and breathing and purposefulness, even though you're bedridden. Right? She was doing this during COVID with people via Zoom so that she could still keep up with her patients. Okay? So for the patients, like, I don't have time, make time. You don't get to bitch about the results you're not getting from the work you're not doing. If you're going to tell me you can't find 10 minutes in your day, then it might be time for you to go find another massage therapist. Because 10 minutes a day is gone in a nanosecond with ease. You get 4 thumb strokes into a doom scroll, there's 10 minutes. So don't tell me you can't find 10 minutes. Okay. So that's the recovery response. So when we start, we talked about the vagus nerve a bit yesterday, but I want to talk about like a subset of the autonomic nervous system, and that's called the enteric nervous system. Does anybody know what that is? Okay. The enteric nervous system is that vagus nerve coming down, and it creates the mesh network of neurobiology for your entire GI tract. Okay? It shows up somewhere between 6 and 8 weeks after conception. As the tadpole goes from just that ball, the ball into the tadpole, that's when the enteric nervous system and the nervous system start to grow. So, research and science is starting to say, did you know that there's a brain-gut axis? No, but thanks for telling me. I was completely unaware that there was a connection between trusting my gut and being able to trust what's in my brain. Okay? So if we're not healthy here, it's going to be a struggle to be healthy up here. And nobody's got it buttoned up. Okay? We're all on the struggle bus. We all fight our demons. Welcome to the team, right? Trauma stay. That's why we keep coming back to it. The trauma in me acknowledges the trauma in you. Man, we're both broken. What works for you? Awesome. I'm glad that works for you. Here's what works for me. But when we look at the general playbook, we don't have to have all of the answers for every single client, because this is what happens in the body. Then we take that and we help them understand what's happening in their body. Because they go, well, you know, what is this going to do for me? I don't know. What I do know is that once we're done, you're going to continue living in your body. And if you pay attention and you do the homework I asked you to do, which starts with, for the next couple of days, I want you to pay attention to what's different. And then when you bring that information back to me, we can sit down and you go, this was different, this was different, this was different. Now I know what your body's doing with these extra resources, and we can dial it in a little bit better, and a little bit better. And after 3, 4, 5 treatments, now we've got a pattern. Now we know this technique produces this kind of outcome for you. This is what allows me to customize the treatment every single time without having to be omnipotent and do 3.5-hour intakes with every client every time. Right? Second, third, fourth appointment, by then you've pretty much got it dialed in. If they're paying attention, if they're committed. Right? You still might have some of those avoidance where they're like, I just don't really want to pay attention. That's kind of, I'm here because my wife is making me come to you. Okay, cool. Well, do you want her to be nice to you? Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, cool. Let me try doing what she's asking me to do and connect with the information. And vice versa. Right? I've had the husband sends the wife in. It's like, I'm fine. Everything's fine. Fine. You said fine twice. That's 2 trips to thesaurus.com. Okay? So in our practice, we have little not prescription pads that I will write notes down for patients.